Good morning, West USA. Welcome to another Monday morning edition of our weekly Monday morning webinar where we're here to grow your bottom line as we grow our bottom ends. And I can just tell you, I was just lucky that I was arisen to this morning after all I ate yesterday for Easter. Holy schmoly. It was just a day of gluttony. I love it. It just seems so weird, though, celebrating Easter and it's just a day of gluttony. Okay, everybody's looking at me. Nobody wants to jump into this conversation.
I had a little stomach ache last night, actually.
All right. Anyways, so moving right along. It'll just be me today, folks. Appreciate everybody joining us today. A little sneak peek of what we got coming up today. Of course, we got Todd Menard here to give us a look at the numbers. Mick Bernard from the Bookspan Baker team's here to give us our mortgage minute. I'm going to give you a little 3-pack on a 5-pack. We're gonna bump it up to a 5-pack on the 5 steps to taking someone from hello to the closing table, and even just the 5 steps that a conversation should be going when you're sitting down in front of a buyer or a seller. And sometimes we get the order messed up, and that's sometimes why we walk out without the deal.
Excited to see that.
All right, and then we got Brandon Wise, the CEO and founder of Wise Agent, here to talk about their incredible CRM system, our new relationship with them, and tips to using your CRM more effectively. Here's the biggest tip. I'm just going to tell you, use it.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Awesome.
And then, of course, don't do that with Bob Stevens. All right. If you have any questions, comments, and or suggestions of things you'd like us to cover, always email us at webinar@westusa.com, and we will get back to you in a timely fashion. With that being said, going to turn it over to our operations officer, Todd Menard.
Good morning, everyone. Here's the market stats for the week of Monday, the 22nd. Looking backwards 1 week, we have closed 62 days on market, currently in a 2.18 month supply, 45.86% absorption rate, and 557 average list price, 332 average sale price, with a list price to sale price retention hovering right about 97.7, which is pretty close to sweet spots. Taking a look at the inventory across the board, we have 18,400 units in inventory. That's continuously been going down, tightening the inventory. Pending is sitting at 6559, which is good. As you can tell, for the same time period that the inventory has been going down, the reason is because the pendings have been going up. We've been talking about being at 6,500 before the end of the month, and we are over. So our predictions are coming correct. Looking at closed units, we're sitting at 5,063 month to date. And the nice thing here is, again, this is a positive sign, a 5.3% increase. We have been seeing decreases all throughout the year so far. So these positive signs are telling us that this summer market is heating up. And obviously, we have to get out there and communicate that with our consumers. Looking at new listings, we're sitting at 2,330 listings taken this past week. That's bringing the average, pardon me, days on market to 147, and our average close days on market to 62. Look at the price ranges down here in the corner. The question is, what's the real benefit of this? You're working with a buyer, you're working with a seller. This just gives you a head start. This is just one of those things. And again, this is either for you to extrapolate with a buyer or seller that you're working with, or sharing this with your clients and letting them see this for the first time and explaining it to them, explaining that here's your price ranges in the inventory. Here's how many units are actually in the inventory, inventory, but in the MLS, in that specific price range, looking at days on market, looking at the total percent, that's what percent of the total MLS inventory is representative of that price range. And then over on the right-hand side, we categorize it under 500,000, 500 to a million, and then over a million. And you can see the percentages of that also. So basically 71.6% of the properties that are in the MLS are under 500,000. So when we take a look at the spreadsheet across the board, and this is, again, week over week, we see new listings. You can see the difference continually sliding. It's at 5.4% down versus the week before. Inventory sitting just, again, about 180, almost 200 units short of what we were at the week prior. Pending, again, positive signs. The green tickers are positive signs. The red, obviously, not so much. And we look at 65.59 current week, 65.27 the week before. But slide our eyes over to the right, and this is always good. These two blue columns represent the prior month and the month before that. So we have kind of a 90-day somewhere between a 75 and 90 day picture at any one time. And this is how you can use what you can use to compare. And again, that's what we do. Like when we walk into a listing, the very first listing, we're not an expert at all. The second listing we go in, we are an expert because now we can start comparing. And of course, education and experience is the name of the game. Looking at closed inventory, we are sitting at 5,063. Slide your eyes across. You can see last month we finished 12% behind, and the month before just over 8.5% behind. So a positive sign. Sticking in the green is a good thing. Looking at month supply at the bottom, again, 2.44 last week, 2.18, a little bit of a slide. Where we like to be again is somewhere north of 3%. Which is usually commensurate with a brisk market where both the buyer and the seller win at the same time. Looking at inventory absorption rates, 45 and almost 40, just over 45.5%. The market's heating up. What we really need to do in this particular point, Mike, is we really need to be able to increase that inventory so that we can have a lower absorption rate. That will prevent the prices from getting a non-natural push. And that's what happens when the inventory gets tight. Obviously, everything's good until the average list price to sale price retention goes down, and then all of a sudden you start seeing the sale prices go up, and that is indicative of the fact that there's a supply and demand issue putting pressure on pricing. So we're at 557 right now. Slide your eyes across. We finished last month at 561. A year ago we were at 576. So these, Mike, are the things that bust the myths with the consumers about the fact that we're in a bubble. We're not in a bubble. As you can see, last year we were at 576 average list price in the month of March. Right now we're at 557. So there is not a boom, bust, whatever you want to call it, happening. Looking at average days on market, 147. Again, this is going lower, which is okay. We like to see this anywhere basically below 180. Taking it sale price, list price to yeah, there we go. List price to sale price retention is 97.71. Again, 97.8 is the sweet spot of the bat, where the sellers typically negotiate 2.2% at the time the contract is accepted, and this is a good thing. When you see it lower, it means the seller's giving away more. When you see it higher, it means they're not giving away so much. So right now we're at 97.7. That's the sweet spot, right around 97.8. So Mike, that's the numbers for the week.
All right, appreciate it as always. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how this summer plays out. So we'll be here each and every week giving you the updates in helping you navigate the summer months. So make sure you tune in. But more importantly, you can always get a copy of these slides on the dashboard this afternoon. Download them and use them for your own buyer and seller presentations. All right, we got Mick Bernard from the Bookspan Baker team for our Mortgage Minute. Good morning, Mick.
Good morning, guys. How's everybody?
Fantastic. What's going on in the market? What do you think?
Well, rates are holding their own really right now. Rates are holding their own. We're still in the mid fours, low to mid fours, depending upon credit scores and down payment and whether you're paying a point or not paying a point. And so now is really the time, guys. I mean, we really fully expected these rates to be at least 0.5% higher by now and then another half next year. And we're just not seeing it yet. So I think we're getting a reprieve on rates for another 12 months.
All right. Well, that's good news. So, yeah, especially for the summertime.
Especially for the summertime. Unlike gas, right? Gas keeps climbing, but rates
what's
are
up
hanging.
With that? Can't you guys do something about that over there at Fairway?
Yeah, I'm gonna give the Fed chair a call and see what we can do about that.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about down payment assistance programs and changes.
Yeah, changes. And I'd like to just reach out to you guys. If you're not taking advantage of these down payment assistance programs for your clients, please reconsider. We have a lot of great marketing flyers that we can assist you guys with. So let's talk about the changes. There used to be lower guidelines for income. Used to be in the 60s in some of these programs. Now we've got programs on Home Plus where you can actually earn over $100,000 and still qualify. And so really, there's really no reason for anybody not to take advantage of something like this. The other thing that helps as well is there's no longer a maximum purchase price on Home Plus or Home in 5. So you can exceed the 350, potentially go all the way up to the conforming loan limit on those programs. And so, again, 45% debt to income ratios. Now, in many cases, as long as we get desktop underwriting approval, we can go up to 50%. And actually, that number should say 49.99 is typically what it is. And that's really the bottom line. Can we get automated approval? No, desktop underwriting has to say yes, the computer model on all these programs. But there you have it. And so these are getting more and more flexible. We really want to help people, use these programs. And the one misnomer, maybe everybody listening to this morning knows this, but these are often referred to as first-time home buyer programs. And guess what? You don't have to be a first-time home buyer to take advantage of these programs.
Yeah, and I would say one of the things too, and I think it's a great trick. Not a trick. I don't want to say trick, but this is almost can be like a loss leader. Not everybody that you come across is going to be eligible for down payment assistance, and there's a lot of people that probably shouldn't be in a down payment assistance programs. Right. But this is an eye catcher. And so when you are holding an open house or you're marketing your business on social media, this is what I think you want to take out for a spin. This is what's going to grab people's attention.
Exactly.
And then let you guys determine the right loan program. It doesn't matter whether somebody wants down payment assistance or not and ends up with a different type of loan program. What matters is that they're in some sort of loan program and they're buying a house from you.
Exactly. This is a great program to talk about when we talk to a lot of our agents, especially newer agents, deal with rental leads, right? And I always just say, just pose the question like this: Did you know that you could potentially buy a house with less money than you would if you had to sign a 1 year's lease?
Yeah.
Once you just talk to my loan guy here and give him a little script to go through and just connect us. It maybe 1 out of 10 work. Right. But that's, if you don't take a shot at it, then you've got zero. Right. And so if you deal with
0 plus 0,
exactly,
always equals 0, Mick.
If you're dealing with
I'm no math major, but I got that one.
Yeah. 10 rental leads a month, which many of you probably have more than that. I'd be willing to bet that one of those renters will qualify for a mortgage.
Yeah, and not just that, you also got the fact that, people misunderstand first-time homebuyer, like you said earlier, and the actual definition, at least, in the FHA world, is, anyone who hasn't, at least it used to be, anyone who hasn't owned a home in the past 3 years.
Right.
So realistically, there's some people that say, oh yeah, but I've already owned a home before the bust way back, and it's like, that's okay because you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Yeah. And you can own a house right now. You can actually own a house, rent it out, your house out, and get a new house to occupy and take advantage of one of these programs.
Yeah, use your renter's down payment and earnest money for your down payment and earnest money.
You can't see the high five Mike and I are giving each other behind the scenes here. That's awesome.
That's what we call the redistribution of wealth.
There you go. I love that.
Yeah. Currently the legal.
All right, Mick, I appreciate it as always. And then, of course, this is a great flyer, and you guys are willing to co-brand it.
We'll take Jane's picture off there and put yours.
I always wonder what she looked like. She's not bad. Not going to lie. Hey, Jane. All right. Tell us a little bit about the Booksman Baker team difference.
Well, let's talk about the pre-qual, the access to the pre-qual 24/7. We use an online system where you can access it at any time. All your agents love to use it because they know on a weekend, if they need to change the number on their pre-quals because they're negotiating a deal, that they can do that. Don't have to track me down to issue a new pre-qual. They can just control it themselves.
All right, and then one of the questions came through if we get that flyer co-branded, will it come in a format that we could post on social media?
Yeah, we can get that. Both formats, yes.
All right, perfect. And then just a little tip out there. At any time you get a hold of something that's a PDF, just go to smallpdf.com. You can convert anything into anything. I use this website all the time.
Beautiful.
All right, appreciate it, Mick.
Thanks,
Bernard,
guys.
as always. All right, Todd. Let's go through the process.
Wow, look at all those numbers.
Yeah. It was very fancy this morning, copying and pasting. Very complicated getting through this. Right. But anyway, so 5 steps to leading prospects to close, and this is really what it is. It's the steps in which a sales dialogue goes, and you want to keep things in the right order because sometimes we jump the gun and sometimes we get a little bit ahead of ourselves. But at any time you're sitting down with a potential buyer or seller, you're at a listing presentation, you're in a buyer presentation, you're sitting at an open house, of course, and we talk about it all the time, but the first step is to listen. You can't go anywhere in a conversation unless you know where the conversation needs to go. And you don't know where the conversation needs to go unless you're listening. And sometimes what we do is as we find ourselves more times doing the talking, we're jumping it. We're trying to sell ourselves, talking about our accolades, talking about how great we are, and so forth. Okay. No one cares. Okay. Exactly. My wife doesn't care, and my kids don't care how great I think I am. Okay, I can tell you right now, the consumer doesn't care about how great I think I am. They care about their problems. They care about their unique situations. And this is the first step is, and really you just ask a couple simple questions, but you got to listen for the problem. You got to listen for their pain points. You got to listen for what they're trying to communicate to you as far as what their needs are.
You know, it's funny. This is I'm sure where we're headed today, because again, everybody who's listening, Mike and I don't share this information prior to the show, but this is one of those scenarios where I bet you everything you're going to talk about today works in a relationship as well. Like, for instance, if you're, single and you're trying to, communicate or solicit, a person that you're interested in, the less you talk and the more you ask questions, the more intriguing and exciting and interesting you become. And at the same token, you also prove to that person that you've got depth and that
and then you get married and you don't want your wife to talk so much, right? You're like, I'm done listening. I'm out.
So the point here, though, is well taken, because again, we talk about sitting at a listing appointment, and you want to try to tell them all the things that we can do to help sell their houses, but the reality is we have to really only provide the one or two solutions that they need, and the only way to discover what it is that they need is to ask questions and listen.
And then when you're listening, then it comes to the discovery phase. This is where now you're discovering, I mean, because you're listening, you've asked some really good questions. Now you're able to discover where the client wants to go. Where do they want to move? What type of house are they looking for? What are their finances? What are their timetables? Do they have children? Is school something that's important to them? Is what type of neighborhood do they want to go into? How much money do they have? Where's their money going to be coming from? There's a lot of things that go into buying a house. And I always say, when we are like private investigators, we don't ever want to be selling somebody something they don't need and they don't want. And sometimes we're trying to cram something down somebody's throat, if we would just take the time to listen and then start discovering, it would be a different conversation. We wouldn't be trying to sell something to somebody that they want. But we are like private investigators, and we are always discovering. And this is why, and it's going to be great in a little bit. We're going to have Brandon Weiss from Wise Agent on. This is one of the best uses of your CRM system. The more that you discover, the more that you learn about your clients and the personal things and the business things and the real estate things. You want to store all that information into a system, and in a CRM system like Wise Agent. But you have to think of yourself when you're in a conversation. It's not enough to just listen. Now you got to put your PI hat on. You're a private investigator now.
Totally. And again, social media can be a great thing that helps you pre-listing or pre-buyer presentation with this. But again, the factor here is trying to identify, what their pain points are as well. What are the things that you need? Where do you want to go? But most importantly here, the question or the secret is asking more questions constantly.
Okay, and then you can present. Now you have something to present. Now that you've had a chance to listen to them, they feel like you're listening to them. You've discovered their pain points. You discovered their needs. I always joke when I get in front of a group of agents. I always ask them, what do they think I'm really good at? And I'll get all kinds of stuff, But I say what I'm really good at is whatever your need is. If you're a first-time home buyer, I'm the best. If you're a military family relocating, I'm the best. If you're an investor looking for that next rental property, I'm the best at that. But we can only be the best at whatever they need if we know what their need is. And so now, once we've listened to it, now we can present how we can help them. And now here's how I can help you. This is what I'm good at. These are my expertise. This is how I can help you reach whatever your real estate goal is. And this is where sometimes we get right into presenting. Instead of finding what the person's needs are, then we present.
Yep. No, you hit it right on the head. This is where we've been talking for 6 years.
And I'm really good at eating burgers
stories.
too, by the way. I don't know if you knew that about me, Todd.
Yeah. Oh, really? 20-something years later. So doing the presentation is on purpose now, because now every word that comes out of your mouth speaks to those things you discover.
Yes.
And so you can be concise. You can be to the point. You don't have to open up the sandbox and take all the tools out. I mean, this is one of those scenarios where, you're going to be addressing exactly what their needs are. And Mike, we've been talking for 6 years about storytelling.
Yep.
And this is exactly where you would bring in the other couple, the other person,
Yes.
the other transaction that had a similar obstacle that was that you discovered in phase 2, and you can speak directly to that.
Now you can ask
For the order.
Yeah. Now you can ask for the close.
Yep.
Now you can ask for the deal. Now you can ask how can I help you? Let's get this house listed. Let's sign the buyer broker agreement. Let's get you set up on the portal. Let's get you the mobile app. Let's get you onto the website. Let's start looking for hope. Let's have you talk to my lender.
Totally.
Because now that I know what your needs are, I know what kind of conversation I'm going to have with my lender. I've discovered where you're wanting to go, what you're wanting to do. I presented how I can help you. Now I got to ask. And sometimes we either agents fall into two camps. One, they ask too early, or two, they don't ask at all.
Yeah, that's bad. Asking, you have to ask for the order. Even if you know the answer is going to be no, you have to ask. This is one of those situations where, sure, you could be really eloquent in this, but all you really got to do is recap number 2, and with these people in number 3, which is, here's what you said was the issue. Here's how I'm capable of assisting you in this with experience. Are we ready to get going, or something along those lines? You don't have to shock them. You don't have to say sign here specifically, though sometimes you will be direct like that. This is just, again, just recap what you just talked about, because sometimes people just they're afraid of going for the close, and so they lose the deal because they'd never ask. So this is just recap number 2 and number 3, and then just say, are there any other obstacles or threats that you may have? They say no.
And that leads to number 5.
Yeah. Okay,
is
perfect.
be prepared for the objections. Now,
gotta have a pushback.
Now you might have the pushback. Now they may say, well, how much are you going to discount your commission, or we're not ready to go now, or they could have a variety of reasons, and be prepared to handle those objections, because they are going to come, but they're going to come in the point in the conversation that you determine that they come, rather than dealing them right from the get-go. You want to identify what their problems are. You want to talk about how you can help them solve their problems, because you know what? There may not be objections. You may overcome those objections before you get to the end.
Yep. It's like sometimes we create our own obstacles, right? So this is one of those scenarios where I say to people, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I know you want to wait a week so you can get this property done, but I'd like to get it listed right away and get it active right away, because if somebody came in this afternoon and offered you full price for your property without you having to do those repairs, would you take it? And the question would be, well, heck yeah. Okay, well then let's get it on the market right away. But it's the same kind of thing, handling those objections that come up. And Mike, you mentioned one, which was commission reduction. And I think that's a critical one right now, because here's the thing. What you just taught everybody to do, 1 through 5, is if they do number 2 and number 3 properly, they're not going to be asked to reduce their commission, and number 5 is one of the obstacles. There'll be another one, but what you will have already done is convince this person that you're worth your value.
Yeah, and you want to go for the ask before you allow them to object. And sometimes what we do is, before we go into the ask, our ask is, do you have any questions? Right. Don't go into questions. Right. Go into the ask first, and then allow them to if they are going to have objections. All right, that's our 5-pack, our 3-pack. That's a 5-pack. All right, you can find it on the dashboard later on this afternoon. All right, moving quite along. A few announcements. This Dominate the Neighborhood.
You've been getting great accolades.
Oh my God, this has been It's been fantastic. It's been one of my my most favorite lunch and learns that I've done, because I need to backtrack real quick. We don't have a flyer up here, but have I not been saying for the past month, get signed up for the summit, because it's going to sell out?
You have. Okay.
It's sold out. We literally cannot fit any more people in that room. And now we're getting people who've waited. And I feel bad, kinda, that I can't. Okay.
Well, fire marshal says you can only put so many people in a room.
Oh yeah, there's him too.
Well, that protects us, from the fact that we'd like to have more. But.
So I just want to say that. So please don't email me. Yes, maybe a big giant burger somewhere. I might be able to, no, I'm just kidding. So it is sold out. So I just want to say that. But anyway, so this Dominating the Neighborhood has been a fantastic lunch and learn we put together. The premise is, you've taken a listing, So now what do you do next? How do you dominate the neighborhood? How do you get entrenched in the neighborhood? And I've done a couple of these in last month, and I'm now getting agents that have done some of this stuff, and the feedback and the response and the people that they're meeting, the neighbors that they're meeting. So this is something that's working. So we're going to go through some options of when you can get signed up for them. Their next one is Wednesday, May 8th. Where's this one at? This is going to be at the Kierland office. So there's the email address on how you can get signed up for it. So no matter what office you're out of, you can go to any of them. It's based on availability. So get signed up May 8th. Then Thursday, May 9th, we're going to be repeating it down in the Goodyear office, except we're going to be at Caliber Home Loans. So if you're down there at our Goodyear office, even if you're in our Surprise or Arrowhead office, you want to make your way over there, you can definitely do that. That is going to be May 9th. There is the email address right there where you can RSVP. And then the third one we're going to be doing May 23rd. This is going to be for the Arrowhead area, but we're going to do it at First American Title right across the street. So they got a fantastic facility, and that's how you RSVP right there. There's the email address. Yes.
It looks like the email address is incorrect.
Okay. Well,
you can't have 2 @ signs in an email address. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
well, or you can just look for the one on the left
Okay,
that
wait a
has
minute, I
just
get
the
it now.
one. Yeah.
It's just A Canady at First American Title. The @ was just contact Angela Canady at A Canady at First American Title. So there you go. So
This is why we love to have our
don't go
email
there.
engineer on the team. Anyway, so get signed up for that. So we got those. There are going to be limited rooms. It's been a fantastic class. So get signed up for one of them. Because I get people go, well, when are you doing it again? Okay, this is it.
Oh my gosh,
Afterwards, I'm
you've done
done.
it. Yeah,
After I'm done with this, so get signed up for one of them. Okay, we are also in May. We are making our rounds. Going to be doing a little Pick Social and Circle Picks training inside all of our offices. Those are the dates and the times. You can go on the West USA calendar on the dashboard to get signed up for one of them. So if you don't know what Pick Social is and Circle Picks, you should, because they're fantastic marketing tools that we have available to you here from West USA. So get signed up with that. All righty. Brandon, how old were you when this picture was taken?
Yeah, but honestly, it doesn't really look a lot different than he does right here.
Well, thank you, Todd.
Seeing it was taken last week. No.
All right, so we've been announcing it, and I know you guys have been getting out to the offices, but West USA has formed a formal relationship with Wise Agent. I have been I've been doing corporate orientations here at West USA for almost 6 years now, and every orientation I say that there are 2 tools in your tool belt that I think are the most important out of everything else that you have. More important than business cards, more important than websites and everything. The first one is your mobile app, and the second one is your CRM system. Your CRM system is the lifeblood of every agent's business. So before we kind of get into Wise Agent, tell us a little bit about how you kind of came up with Wise Agent. And Todd, I don't know whether you ever heard the story of the original name of Wise Agent.
Oh, no, I don't think I
This
have.
is fantastic.
So we're going to go there.
Let's go there. Hey,
right.
hey guys, Mike, thank you so much for having me on. Excited to be here with you and West USA and Todd. So getting started, I was an agent really, and didn't even know what a CRM was. I just knew, man, I need to get my business organized. I was kind of all over the place, and I was looking for a system. Didn't see anything out there that I thought was easy enough for me to learn. And so I had my buddy that was kind of learning how to program, start building this tool for me. At the time, it didn't even have a name. And that's kind of what I started building my own business on, as I got my first Rookie of the Quarter award and showed it up on the stage without thinking that it was on someone else's server that may not want everyone going to it. You know, I was up there showing them, hey, here's how I do it with my system. And before you knew it, hands started going up saying, hey, how much does that cost? How do I get on? And so that's kind of what led to us saying, hey, let's get our own server and just get this going, get enough out there that a few people that want to use it can use it every year.
Okay, let me just qualify everything. What year was that?
That was in 2001.
Yeah, see how? Yep.
So we've been around for a while.
Yep. So when he says this, he wasn't trailing the industry. He was brazing the industry on the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important to note too. I mean, you are a realtor, and sometimes we get these services and from people who've never walked, a mile in our shoes and have never sold real estate. So this is birthed from your understanding of the need that we have as real estate
Exactly
agents.
what I was going through and trying to solve my own problems at that time. And then as we've grown, that's kind of, we've taken that throughout the years. Has always been really big at truly listening to our members, our clients, telling us exactly what their problems are, and then we innovate technology trying to solve their problems. That's kind of how we've grown to where we are today, getting through all the problems of our own and of the agents to get here.
And so when you joined the board, and that included the National Association of Realtors, you didn't quite read the rules on the proper use of the word realtor, did you?
I may have marked that box without reading every line. So what he's referring to is when we first started Wise Agent, our name was Wise Realtor, and they didn't see it until after we got all of our business cards made, all of our branding, put every dollar we had into it, and then we got a cease and desist letter saying, you're not allowed to use the word realtor in your name. You better stop right now. And so that's when we became the Wise Agent, and later was able to buy Wise Agent.
That's a great story.
It was. Yeah, that's good.
All right. So give us your 2-minute pitch on why an agent needs to be using a CRM system, because this is a constant battle for me. I mean, I talked about, my little pitch that I do in our orientations every time. One of the first things I always talk about when I'm out with talking with agents is, what CRM system are you using? Are you using a CRM system? Most of the time I get no, or I have one. Okay, well, I have one, doesn't count. And then I'll say this also, and then you can comment on this. One of the biggest challenges that I find with our top producers, because we spend so much time dealing with our top producers, is they feel like it's too late. They're so busy. They just don't have time to go back and put everything into their CRM system, and they wish they would have started with the CRM system.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's a lot like life, our health. We all know if you want to live longer and be healthy, you've got to get in the gym and you've got to do the basic things. And we all know it. And a lot of us pay for a gym membership month after month.
I do not like where this conversation's going.
Is
this Wise Gym? What is this?
So going back to real estate, everyone here is right from day one now that, hey, you need to be organized. You have to have a system that you're going to run your business in, and that thing is called a CRM, and that you're going to run it in. And so a lot of people, I think, look at it and they get overwhelmed. Like, you walk into a gym the first time and there's so much equipment and you're like, man, what am I going to use first? And they end up not doing anything, but they keep paying for it because they know they need to do it. And we get the same thing over and over. So really getting in there and getting started with, let's get your clients in and let's get your leads coming in. Start with the basics and start working your way up. And as far as the old pros that have already made it, and we've been doing great with those guys too, because that's exactly what we hear over and over again. Man, I don't even have time to implement a system as much as I need it. I'm all over the place. They all know they need it, and so we're just going back to step one with those guys as well, and they love it. Just with a little hand holding, getting their database in and start showing them, here's what you've been missing, and as soon as they start little by little using it one piece at a time, before you know it, they implement the whole system.
And dumb it down for us. What are some of the key reasons why, the key purposes of a CRM system? What are the biggest reasons why we need one? I mean, obviously, we know to keep our leads organized, but what does that mean?
Right. Yeah. Even going back to your 5-pack, you just went over. Number one, the notes. Your number one for you is listening. And so after you listen, and hopefully you're talking to more than one person a week, you've got a lot of different stories coming in. And so you need to, as you're listening to all those details, doing it right, you need to be putting those notes down. And so then a big piece that people are missing in CRMs, or even that are using it, that we're seeing the ones that use it right, are segmenting their audience into categories. So as you're listening to all these details coming in, make sure you're putting your audience or your contacts in these different segments so that when you go to talk to them or send an email blast out, you're not emailing 2,000 people at one time the same message. You should be narrow it down. And I know, hey, if you're into boating, I'm going to send you things that aren't even about real estate.
See, and that's what I was gonna say. You can bring it. I mean, you can really drill it down. You can have a segment in there that that loves golf, and a segment that likes boating, and a segment that likes the rodeo and horse stuff and things like that. So then you could be sitting there and something pops onto your feed. Something about the Phoenix Open coming to town. Then now all of a sudden you can literally just pull up all your contacts by golf and send all of them a personalized email at the same time.
It's called CRM. That's contact relationship management. And it's really, you guys, that's what this business is about, is building relationships. The ones that understand that are the ones that go far. And you build relationships by listening to people, and not always talking about real estate. Talk about what they're into as well. And when real estate comes up, they're going to think of you.
You said earlier about top producers. Obviously, Mike, you do a lot of mastermind groups with top producers. And so consequently, we do every once in a while come upon somebody who hasn't yet, honestly, created a database, a true database. But if somebody's already using one, Brandon, you guys have the ability to help them migrate that over into your system. And I think that's real. I don't know if you were planning on talking about that, but it just came up, and that's really important because, I, as a top producer, I want to stay in my green light activity. I want to stay in my closing, my listing activity. So is that easy? I mean, I know you can do it because obviously we've used your services for so long.
Right.
But again, could you talk?
Yeah, Todd. No, I think that's the first step that stops a lot of people right there. Is they start a free trial in any CRM, and then they don't know how to get their database in. And these agents are coming to us with their database. I have some of my contacts in my phone, some are in an Excel sheet, some are in my MLS, some are in my old CRM, and so. That was problem number one that we saw when anyone's moving to any CRM, is they don't get started. And so we've taken that to a level where we do it for you. So it's that easy. If you're starting with Wise Agent and of course you can do it yourself very easily with our import export, but really getting started and doing it the right way, so you get the duplicates out and get everything in the right way, it's worth reaching out to us and letting our pros at Wise Agent support team handle it for you and get all your database in from everywhere else and get as many of those duplicates out. So now we pull in everything. Some of your databases might have had children's names and pets' names. Other ones had birthdays. Let's get it all in one place so you can actually start using that database that you're sitting on.
Yeah, and one of the other things that you guys offer, and I think this is the most amazing thing, because a lot of us maybe have signed up for a CRM system here, a CRM system there, or another piece of technology, and then we're just like, I don't know what to do with it, right? But you guys also offer a complimentary concierge service. So if you sign, and there's the website up there, it's just westusacrm.com. If you go to that, you can get signed up for your 30-day free trial, but get signed up for our program that we have with you guys, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the moment that you get signed up for it, you will get a call from a concierge over at Wise Agent to find out what the needs are. Could you need help importing a CSV file? And run through some of the basics. So talk about the concierge service and talk about some of the initial training opportunities. So I get it. Where do I go?
Right. And we're trying to kind of practice what you were preaching earlier. Ask the questions first, so we know where you're coming when you get to us. Why did you sign up for the CRM today? Are you trying to organize your transactions? Is it more about your contacts? Are you looking for marketing help? So they all need it all, but when you come to us and you're excited today, hey, I got a new listing and I need a transaction checklist that's going to walk me through what I need to do. Well, then that's where we want to start. So we're going to quickly help you get your contacts in, and then let's take it down your road first and get this transaction management set up. And then we'll loop back around and help you start doing the marketing and segmenting. So it kind of depends on each person. That's why that concierge is so important, that you guys take advantage of that. When we call or when we email you, if we don't get a hold of you, reach back out to us and set that 20-minute appointment so that we can really help you get started the right way and give you the most for your time.
And what's really nice for us and for our agents is outside of being, and I have used my share of CRM systems. Okay. And I've researched my share of CRM systems. And so when I got back into real estate years ago, I set out and said, okay, these are the certain things that I require, that I need for a CRM system. And it was really hard to find any that did everything that I needed it to do. And I wasn't really asking for the world. But I needed a system that was going to text. I needed a system that I could share with my lender, and I needed a system that I could send out emails out, mass emails. And it was, at that time, it was hard to find one system that did it all.
Yep.
But beside the fact that Wise Agent does offer all of those services, you guys are local. So Wise Agent was founded here in Arizona. You're headquartered up in Fountain Hills, which I love that sports bar right down the road there. It's got
All
a great
American.
burger. Yes, that's fantastic. But you're local, and so you guys have made the rounds, been doing some trainings and in our local offices, and you're going to continue to do that. So we just have the support right here, which is really, really nice for us.
Yeah, we're super excited to be working with West USA, you guys, and you guys are definitely getting our VIP treatment. So if there's anything you need, feel free to ask. Last week we were in Chandler, Goodyear, and Arrowhead office. I know this week we're going to be in a few more around the valley. So we're stopping in to do overviews for all of your offices, and then we'll spend some time with the agents, kind of getting each one set up right there live. And we do a lot of work with webinars too. So we're here for you and excited to be working with West USA in our hometown.
All right, we'll end with this, Brandon. Okay. Okay. In Arizona, we have, as a real estate body, have come to expect everything to be free. Okay, it's this culture in this industry that we've created here in Arizona. And I would say, Todd, it's somewhat unique to Arizona.
True.
You go to other states,
It's a whole different
mentality.
Yeah.
So this is not free, okay? And generally, you get what you pay for. You want something free, you generally get what you pay for. As I said a few minutes ago, outside of your mobile app, because your mobile app to me is your solution, is your answer to the Zillow, Trulia, and Realtor.com. That's how you get people off of those platforms and using your own platform. But outside of that, your CRM system is the most important tool that you have. I know that we get inundated as agents about paying for this and paying for this and paying for this and paying for this. As a real estate agent myself, if I got back into selling, if you drop my butt off in Albuquerque and said, here's your license and go, and you only get one tool, okay, I am going to pay for my CRM system because it does me no good to do one open house and meet people if I got no way to organize my leads. I will take it over my mobile app. I'll take it over my website. I'll take it over, probably need access to the MLS. So
well, sure. Okay. But that's hello. But yeah, and I love what you're saying, Mike, because the reality is most agents are constantly running for their next business, for their next lead. And over time, one of the things is that, NAR for the last 25 years that I can remember has been saying, stay in touch with your people after close, stay in touch with your people after close, stay in touch with your people after close. And even the people that don't close, stay in touch with them because they have friends and family. So the argument here is the value of the CRM and the importance of it is that this is where referrals come from. Yeah. This is where repeat business comes from. We're all out there trying to create a referral-based business, but yet, we overlook the number one tool to help us do that. Mm-hmm. And it isn't about drips as much as it's about relevancy and communication and staying in verbal communication.
And reminders. This is what I love about the CRM. I put in some information about a meeting. And you said, hey, call me in 3 months. I can set up a reminder to call me in 3 months. I don't have to remember it. Exactly. So what we have for our agents, the cost for Wise Agent is $30 a month.
$29.
Well, the extra dollar goes to my food thing. So
I forgot about that little side.
$29 a month. But with it, and this is what makes our program unique. You can't get this anywhere else. The $29, it includes the text messaging capabilities. And I know for a fact that the number one open rate of all
Yep.
forms of marketing is text messaging.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I don't, just about everybody listening to the sound of my voice has checked their text messages since we
Regularly.
started.
That's right.
Right?
Right. 100% open rate right
Yep.
now.
So I'll end with this story, then I'll let you have your final comment, Brandon. When I got into radio in about 2003, 2004, I had a real estate show out in Los Angeles with investors, and it was a 30-minute show Saturday afternoons, and we would just pitch, come to Arizona to invest. And I'm personally responsible for the market crash in 2007, 2008. So apologize for that, Bob. And I remember the very first show, we had about 26 calls. And we had these 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, and we had these lines, name, phone number. This was my CRM system, right? We 3-ring, punch it, and it'll go into a binder. And then week 2 and week 3, and about 6 months in, I realized that we were always chasing new leads because I hadn't even heard of what a CRM system was back then. Like, had no clue. It was just there were these 3-ring binders, and we always lost sight of the solid leads that we had in week 1, week 2, week 3. And I think I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because I just had no way of managing and organizing my leads. So $30 a month, I'm telling our agents, if you don't have a CRM system or you refuse to pay for one, you will leave money, thousands and thousands of dollars on the table, Brandon.
No, I agree. I think your story is just like most agents out there, and most of us have a gold mine sitting there in our phone, in our database, if we would just work it. And we've been adding some really cool tools to make it easier for you to stay in touch with your clients and send them relevant, interesting information without you having to put much thought or time into it, just to keep your name and face in front of them. And that's kind of some of the things that are working, helping you pull blog feeds from all these, like you said, golf blog feeds or homemaker blog feeds, boating. And then as you've got your people segmented, it'll find great articles, and you can fire them off and just say, just thinking about you. And that's the kind of thing that people want to hear.
You guys are constantly always trying to figure out what else you could do.
We love it.
In every conversation I have with you, we go, hey, well, what about this? You're like, let me get back to you. And then finally last week, I actually sent you an email with a project, and you're like, yeah, there's no system in the world that could pull off. I had all these email addresses just in a Word doc. And I'm like, can we separate them and upload them?
You know what?
So
that's hard.
All right,
Mike
Brandon.
got us.
All right, Brandon Weiss from Wise Agent. All right.
Hey, thank you guys for having me out, and we're going to be at your offices. You look for us, just know we're here for you, and we want to help make you all a success.
All right, so if you're listening to this webinar, get signed up. Go to westusacrm.com. We have a list of every single attendee on today's webinar. And so if I meet you 6 months from now and you're struggling, I'm going to ask you, are you using a CRM? And if the answer is no, I'm going to personally sever you. No, I can't do that. No.
You should sever yourself.
Yeah.
What it means.
All right, for $30 a month. I mean, it's for what you get for $30 a month. It's unbelievable. Yeah, there are some CRM systems out there that can do more, but it costs you $2,000 a month. I mean, no one wants to pay that. And this one is specifically designed for real estate agents. That's the other thing. The other ones are not.
Right.
All right.
And we've got some cool things coming, so keep an eye. I'm excited to share some of the new things, but I can't talk about it yet.
All right. Appreciate it. Brandon Weiss from Wise Agent. Go to westusacrm.com. We're going to bring up Bob Stevens, who's going to help us stay out of trouble with a little don't do that as Bob makes his way. He's making his way. He's coming.
I'm making what? I'm not making anything.
Bob, help us stay out of trouble, pal.
It's good to see Brandon this morning. I recall when you started, you used to come to some of our meetings. Was it your wife or your sister or what? Who was it that used to come to meetings?
It was one of our employees, but everyone always thought she
Yeah.
was my sister.
And I liked it back then, and I still like it. So nice to see you, Brandon.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Today's Earth Day. My goodness, Earth Day. You know what you could do with a green designation if you'd go to NAR and look into that, or AAR, either way, and get a green designation and learn about solar and all kinds of other stuff for real estate. I just thought of that on the way in. I had, because they were talking about Earth Day, and it was a good show I was listening to this morning. I liked what I was getting there, but that will really help you as an agent. Something to think about. Let's see, we've got some. Well, let's see, it's right here somewhere. Oh yeah, here's a fellow that was selling he was a seller, and he had no insurance on the property, and they wanted the insurance, the clue report, and they were curing them for that. Well, if you can't have if you can't have the insurance report, the clue report, you can simply write it. It tells you right in the contract. You can just write it out. Now, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the owner of the property. If he hasn't had insurance on her, he needs to write it out. And of course, I don't know how big a thing that is, because you'll get a clue report when you buy insurance for the new buyer, when that happens. So that's something you need to think about. It's real easy, but it throws a lot of agents for a loop because they don't know what to do all of a sudden. But it's right in the contract, and it states that the owner shall put something in writing in his own handwriting or whatever. Then there was another lady was selling her uncle's house to a tenant, and she was wanting to know if she'd be a dual agent here because the tenant had no representation. Well, he still doesn't, because you can't represent the tenant in this case. It's your uncle, it's your family. You can't throw somebody else in there and represent them in the same transaction. So I'm glad that this gal called me and asked me about that, and we got that straightened up. She says that makes sense. It does make sense. So we got that done. We've got 2 times last week somebody wanted to cancel a contract on the first day that it was a contract. So they said, well, how do I do this? We want to cancel it, but what do we tell the seller? If you tell the seller that you just want to cancel because you just don't want the house anymore, you'll lose your earnest money. Well, I haven't deposited it yet, of course, and that was good, but you need to be truthful. There is a big point there, and I had both of these ladies that called me, and they said that's the absolute thing we want to do is be truthful about this. So I said, well, you got to do an inspection of the property. Well, we don't want to spend $500 for an inspection. You don't have to do the inspection yourself. Go over there and talk about the property. And one of them was actually looking for a 5-bedroom home, and she bought a 4-bedroom home. So that's what she writes on the Binzer is, I don't want this because I wanted a 5-bedroom home. Well, can the listing agent argue about that? No, it's written in the contract. Sole discretion.
Yeah, one of the things you mentioned was that you can do it yourself, and what he means by that is the buyer can do it themselves. The agent never does the inspection on behalf of the client, but what Bob meant was the buyers have the opportunity to not hire an inspector and do it themselves.
Absolutely, that's still an inspection.
Correct.
In the neighborhood and everything. That's interesting, and I'm glad you called me because we clear this up so you understand where you're at, and you're still honest. When the thing cancels out, you're honest, and you didn't blow the earnest money for the buyer. It's something to think about. Oh, here's a fella here. These people aren't moved yet. They're about to close a transaction, but they're afraid they're going to get their utilities shut off before they close it and are able to pay for the utilities. So he says, how can I write it in a contract? I will lend them the money out of my own pocket, but I need to write it into the contract. And I said, don't do that. uh, if you want to lend them the money, that's fine. I don't care. That's between you and them. Lend them $300-400, whatever it takes. And if they don't pay you back, don't look at us to get it. It's just between you and the seller, how you work that. But don't try to make up a contract for it. He says, okay, sir, that sounds good to me. Called me sir. Wow.
Yeah, why do people got to call you names?
They go.
They must think you're English.
Oh, fun stuff. Oh, this was interesting. Here's a fellow that's got a tenant, and you have to be 18 at least to live there. Well, there's one 18-year-old female that they're taking in, their granddaughter or something, in this place, 55 plus. And he says, do I have any problems there? Well, I said, you're okay. You're okay. You can take her in there. But wait a minute. There may be problems later. That's the thing. He says, well, I didn't know that. He said, but the thing is, I want to know now what could happen. Well, the 18-year-old lady there may be or could become pregnant sometime. And then so that means the baby would have to move out because they can't be there. And sure enough, some of the residents of that place will point it out and see that it flies that way. So that's the only thing you got going, but that's later. Right now, cool. Put her in there. Oh, man. I got this message, and I'll show it to you right there. There's the message right there with a phone number from an agent. It says break a lease. That was the subject, break a lease. I get those once in a while. But I hate to see that because I'm not going to tell you how to break a lease when you call in. I'll tell you where you got to go with it. And actually, it was all written up pretty good. So she was able to break the lease, but she had to pay a bunch of money in order to do so. But that's in her old lease. They'd been there 3 years. I said, well, it's clear. It's right there. It's written out. So that's what you're going to have to do. She says, well, I just want to make sure that I'm not getting in any kind of trouble. No, you're going to be all right. Let's see. We got no spuds and no clue.
That was awesome.
Well, that's what goes on. She says, well, do I have to have those? I said, well, why would you not have them? But she says, because the listing agent says that they're not going to provide a spuds or a clue. Well, how long have they been in the house? Oh, they've owned it for 17 years. Then send them a cure notice. I want a spuds and a clue. Well, they don't know anything about the house. They've been renting it all the time. I don't care. Send this thing out so that you've done your job and you've covered your buyer there. They can go ahead and close without those things, I guess, but they will have been told that they're not available, and we have tried to attain them. So we got to take care of that. And who was this agent? Was he with our company? No, he wasn't. This was another company. I said, well, that's good, but he did not do his job. He just wants to fly through this transaction, bang, 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 on down the road with it and get it done. But try to get that spuds and clue. Gal called up, or a guy called up. He's a complainant. He says, I want you to know that your agent did not tell the seller that she had to pay commission. I'm trying to buy this house. I'm the buyer, and I have an agent, but your agent didn't explain the commission situation, and I want to buy this house, and now I'm not going to buy it. But you're a good outfit. West USA is a good outfit. I know that. And I just want to let you know that you got this agent. You need to call her up and tell her how to do these things. Well, I called her up, and she had done those things. Don't worry, she got the work done. It was the seller that didn't understand something. And she says the commission was too much. Or she said something that bugged this buyer. Well,
Bob,
as
on behalf of 2,700 agents at West USA, we want to thank you for being the one who takes all these calls from the crazy
That's
buyers
so
and sellers.
true.
We're because our agents don't know that you're the one who takes them.
I take them. One more thing about this. Don't cut me off yet. She she actually did all these things, and while we were talking on the phone, this guy come back with a $5,000 up in price on this house. So I guess she got it sold. There you go.
All right, Bob, thank you. Todd, thank you. Big thanks to Brandon Wise for stopping by. We leave you the quote of the day from Napoleon Hill. If you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way. Go out and sell a home.